we're going to start with the test. Okay, so most of you did a great job in the test. Some of you forgot the order in going to, right? I mean, most of you had some kinds of problems in that area of the test, which, okay, we are going to analyze a test, okay?
All post the test?
All of you, only one not, but I mean, I mean, 9 of you or 6 of you had it in the test, so one of you didn't pass the test, just one of you.
Oh, me?
No, it wasn't you.
No?
It wasn't you, no.
No pass the test?
You passed the test, all right?
I passed the test? Okay.
Yeah, you passed it, yeah. But okay, we're going to analyze some problem that I saw in the test. We're going to use this one, okay, which is right here. Okay, so most of you did great in this part. So player gave Tom some money, right? So ¿a quién le dio? Claire to Tom, right? And what did he give? Some money. So it has 2 objects. So Mark sent a message to his boss. Of course, it has 2 objects, the message and to his boss, right? And then it says here, I'm flying to New York next week. Most of you did wrong in this part, right? Because it says, I'm flying to New York next week. It doesn't have objects. This
only direct object because the object the direct object is before the verb, no? And
in this
after
case,
the verb, sorry.
Yeah, but
after
no,
the verb,
it doesn't have objects at all. It doesn't have objects because remember, the right questions for finding objects is what and to who.
And who.
So in this case, it says, I'm flying to New York next week. So to New York is where. So it does not respond the question what and to who. Ahí lo que es voy a viajar a Nueva York la siguiente semana, ¿no? Ahí no dice que vas a viajar, no dice voy a volar, perdón. Voy a volar a Nueva York la siguiente semana. No dice que vas a volar. Si dijera algo como I'm flying a plane, flying a plane to New York. Ah, ok. Tú vas a volar el avión, ¿no? I'm flying a plane. Ahí sí tendría objeto directo.
Esa sí lo tuve mal.
Let's see, most of you did wrong in this part, but that was fine. Remember, it's what and to who, right?
Es que, bueno, voy a hablar en español. Después lo entendí muy bien porque estuve viendo, repitiendo las clases. Y ya lo último, así como que me revolví de tanto de verlo, ¿no? Pero sí, vi que, bueno, la clave está en que el objeto directo es el que, el afectado directo por el verbo, ¿no? Entonces, y el objeto indirecto es como lo que va después lo que te indica después del objeto directo, ¿no?
Yeah, direct object is what? Me estoy comiendo un helado. ¿Qué te estás comiendo? Un helado. Oye, no tengo dinero. ¿Qué no tienes? Dinero.
Sí, so es el objeto que afecta directamente cuando está después del verbo. Bueno, sí, es el objeto que afecta directamente el verbo, ¿no? Se podría decir así.
It's the object, the thing that you're talking about. It's the thing that you're talking about. And then the indirect object is the person who receives that.
The subject, ¿no?
It's not the subject because the subject is yo, por ejemplo, I'm flying to New York. The subject in that case is I am flying.
No, pero es como que a quién afecta al sujeto, ¿no? Es el objeto directo, por decirlo así. Bueno, así fue como más le entendí ya al último, pero fue como de, ¿sí será eso o no será eso?
Entonces, exactly. So, okay, so this sentence does not have objects. Then she told me that I was doing something wrong.
Sorry, teacher, the last question, the correct answer is
The correct answer is it does not have objects. This sentence doesn't have objects.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep. Okay, so she told me that I was doing something wrong. Okay, yeah, she told me. ¿A quién le dijo? A mí, no? She told me. So it has indirect objects.
Yeah.
What did she tell me? That I was doing something wrong. Eso fue lo que me dijo. She told me that I was doing something wrong. So that I was doing something wrong is a direct object. And me is an indirect object. Right? So I have a lot to do. Okay, this sentence only has direct object. I have a lot to do. ¿Qué tengo que hacer? ¿Qué tengo, no? A lot to do. Tengo mucho que hacer. Eso es lo que tengo. So it only has a direct object. Pero no decimos a quién, ¿no? So it only has direct object.
Y eso también la tuve mal.
Okay, so Melanie gave some help to her sister. Exactly. It has direct and indirect objects. ¿A quién le dio? A su hermana, ¿no? ¿Y qué le dio? Some help. So some help to her sister. And remember, in this case, whenever you put the direct object first and then the indirect object, you need to have the two, right? In that case, you need to have two between the direct and the indirect object. So, okay, so I must work from 9 to 5 every day. Exactly, it does not have objects. Work what? I must work. Tengo que trabajar, ¿qué? From 9 to 5 every day. So it doesn't say who, and it doesn't say work what. So it doesn't have objects. So Daniel told us a funny story. Exactamente, told us it has direct and indirect objects. Nos dijo a nosotros, ¿no? Told us a funny story. So, okay, going to. Okay, maybe I wasn't quite clear in my explanation of what to do in this part because you needed to add words or, rewrite the sentence, but in the correct way. For example, in the first one, you have, I going to pass this test, right? So you're missing something in this case. You're missing one word. So in this case, someone said, I'm going to pass this test. Exactly. So you add the word, the necessary word to complete the sentence. Some of them were complete and some of them were incomplete. But okay, so I'm going to pass the test. Remember, whenever you have, like in this case, if you're going to use going to, remember that you always must use a subject, which is I, for example, no? I. You always need a subject. And then you always need am, is, or are. Always, all the time. So you cannot say something like this, I going, right? You cannot say I going, never. You must always have this one, I'm going to pass the test. I'm going to, and then remember, you need to use the verb in the inactive form, or how do they call it, in infinitive. I'm going to pass the test. Like someone did here. I'm going to pass the test. So it's not correct.
El auxiliar, como siempre.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Don't worry, but it's fine. So remember, don't say something like this, she going to, right? That's one of the most common mistakes when using going to, not putting the auxiliary verb. So it's not she going to, but she's going to do something. Always, all the time. Now, remember, another important thing here. If you're going to use going to, you need to put the verb, like we said, going to run, going to play, going to go, well, not going to go now, going to run, going to play, I'm going to work, I'm going to whatever. But sometimes if you're going to use gonna, which is the informal way of saying the same thing, if you're going to use gonna, remember that you do not need to anymore. So for example, if you want to say, I'm gonna, like this, I'm gonna work, that's the correct way of saying it. No, I know I'm gonna to work, right? So you need to choose between these two options all the time, going to or gonna work. Remember, this is the informal way, gonna work.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now, yeah, is she going to come to the party? That's fine. Is she going to come to the party? So if you're making a question, you put the auxiliary verb at the beginning of the phrase, and you say something like this: is she going to? So that's fine. Now aquí someone changed for will. They will finish the work on time. No, we're not using will, right? We're using gonna. So in this case, Jorge, what do you think is the correct way of saying that phrase?
They are gonna finish the work time.
Exactly. They're gonna finish. They are gonna finish the work on time. Okay, so in this one, it's going to rain tonight. All right, exactly. But you're missing something. What are you missing there itself in that phrase? Which word are you missing?
I don't know, it's going to.
Okay, going to. But where is the subject in that sentence? Who is the subject?
Okay. Because it's because I put the signal interrogation, but I'm missing the
The rain.
Is he or is, well, the subject, right?
Right, subject. Yeah, in that case, the subject is it. Because when you say rain, what's going to rain? Las nubes, ¿no? El cielo, algo.
Is correct. Use it's.
Which one? Sorry.
It's correct. Use it's. It's the rain.
It. Yeah,
Going,
you must use
going.
it.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
going to rain tonight. Yeah. Because remember, when in Spanish you do not have a subject, when Spanish don't have subjects, for example, we say something like, va a llover al rato, oye, me mordió, ay, se cayó. So when we say things like that, we don't use a subject, right? In Spanish. Decimos lloverá, right? Lloverá. ¿Qué lloverá? Pues lo damos por sentado, ¿no? Es que se entiende que el cielo, algo, lloverá al rato. Pero entonces, remember, in English, you almost always use it. It's going to rain. So whenever you don't see a subject in Spanish, you must use an it in English. So lloverá or something like me mordió. ¿Qué te mordió? Pues a lo mejor lo damos por sentado, ¿no? En español, pero en inglés dirías it bit me. Yeah, it bit me. Oye, duele o duele mucho. Es que duele mucho. ¿Qué duele
¿Y no es
mucho?
pegar?
¿Cómo? Bit. No, ese es el otro, mira, este.
Es con EA, ¿no? Bit.
Ajá, bit. Yeah. So beat me is the past of bite. So duele mucho. ¿Qué te duele mucho? It hurts a lot. That's why they say this one, it hurts a lot. It hurts. So what does it hurt? Something that we don't mention in Spanish. But in English, we must always use it in those cases. All right. Okay. So, are they okay? Are they go to have a party here? Okay. So, Jose, what is the correct way of in this one?
Yeah, are they going to have the party here?
Exactly. Are they going to have a party here? Exactly. So Tom is gonna, okay, so this is the other case. Tom is gonna sell. If you're going to use gonna, it's fine, but you don't need the to. You don't need to. You must only say Tom's gonna sell. Tom's gonna sell his car. right? So they are not going to fail the test. That's fine. We're going to be late. That's perfectly fine. It's not going to rain today. Perfectly fine. She's not going to tell the truth. Perfectly fine. Are you not going to pay me back? Yeah, exactly. And remember, when you're using not, you have always two options. You can say, aren't you going to?
Aren't.
Aren't you? And you put this one right here. Aren't you going to pay me? Por ejemplo, algo así, ¿no? Aren't you going to pay? If you are going to use the the short version of aren't, or are you not? Are you not going to pay? So if you're going to use the complete version of this structure, you must use this one. Are you not going? Remember, the not must go between the subject and the going to. Always in that place in the sentence, between the subject and the going to. Are you not going to? Okay, all right. So that was fine. Are you not going to eat all that? Are you not going to eat all that? ¿No te vas a comer todo eso? Que es una pregunta muy fea, pero bueno. Are you not going to eat all that? So, okay, aquí este ejercicio era de, la mayoría de ustedes lo hizo muy bien aquí. ¿Sale? La gran mayoría de ustedes lo hizo muy bien aquí. Entonces, yeah. So remember, when are you going to use was and where and ing? When you're talking about an action in the past which was in progress. An action in the past which was in progress. So the professor was writing. That's what he was doing at that time. He was writing. He was in the middle of that action. He was in the middle of that action, so that's why he was writing, right? So when I arrived, lecture, remember the lecture, what is the meaning of that? Victor Arevalo. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning, sorry by the delay.
It's fine. So what is lecture?
Sorry?
What do you mean by lecture? This word right here, the lecture.
The lecture?
I can tell you it's not lectura.
The lecture, I don't know.
All right, okay, don't worry. Does anybody know what's the meaning of the lecture? Víctor?
Yo lo entendí como lectura.
Lectura, no.
Y puse la respuesta sobre esa base.
I'm sorry? Yep.
Conferencia o discurso, algo así, ¿no?
Exactly, yeah. Lecture can be a class even. It means a class or a session. Or, yeah, conferencia. So when I arrived, cuando yo llegué, la conferencia ya había empezado y el maestro was writing on the overhead projector. Overhead projector, by the way, es un proyector. Aunque overhead projector son de esos proyectores antiguos que les metían era como una cosita así.
Bueno, las diapositivas se las metían.
Ajá, eran así manuales, ¿no? Es overhead projector. And esos mismos. So in this case, I was making a cake when the light went out. So I had to finish it in the dark. Exactly, you were doing this one, right? I was making a cake. I was in the middle of that action. I was making a cake when the light went out. That's did, simple past, went out. So I had to finish it in the dark. So remember, did, most of the time we use did to interrupt the progression of was and where. I was doing this when something happened, right? So I was eating with my brothers when my father came. Estaba comiendo con mis hermanos cuando llegó mi papá. So most of the times did interrupts the progression of the past continuous. So exactly, so it's what I was making. So my dog was walking along. Walking along, by the way, walk along means caminar por ahí, pasear. I was walking along quietly. Así, quietly means en silencio, sin hacer nada, ¿no? Entonces, mi perro estaba haciendo eso. My dog was walking along quietly when Mr. Pete's Pekingese attacked him. Cuando el pequinés de Mr. Pete lo atacó, ¿no? Eso fue lo que pasó después, justo cuando mi perro estaba caminando por ahí. Okay, so I was just opening the letter when the wine blew it out of my hand. Apenas estaba, I was just, remember that when you have just, so if you say something like this, they were just cooking, let's say. They were just cooking. Apenas estaban cocinando. Apenas estaban cocinando. Eso es como lo que se entiende, ¿no? I was just cooking when I saw you. Apenas estaba cocinando cuando te vi. Oh, I was just doing my homework when I saw that TV show. Apenas estaba haciendo mi tarea. Just when you have a subject and then a where or was, or and then just, and then a verb in the ing, es para decir eso. Apenas estaba haciendo eso. Entonces apenas estaba abriendo mi carta. So when the wind, when the wind blew it out of my hand. Cuando el viento se la llevó, ¿no? Se la llevó. O sea, la arrancó de mis manos. Right? So remember, I was just opening the letter. So I lit the fire at 6 and it was burning brightly when Tom came in at 7. Llegó, ¿no? So remember, came in, it's another way of saying came, llegó. When Tom came in at 7. Entonces, yo hice esto en el pasado y estaba brillando. And it was burning. Estaba brillando cuando Tom llegó a las 7. It was burning. So I didn't want to meet Paul, so when he entered the room, I left. Pues sí, no quería encontrarme con Paul, entonces, cuando él entró al cuarto, yo me fui. I left. That was great. So he was watching TV when the phone rang. Exactly. Estaba viendo televisión cuando el teléfono sonó. Rang, in this case, you're using did, so you're using simple past. And okay, they was born. So remember, if you're using they as a subject, you need to use where always, all the time. They were born in 1995. Oh, where are your parents? Where were your parents from? No, where were your parents born? Where were your parents? Because your parents is the same as saying they. Your parents, they. So you use where with they, right? So, okay, all right. So guys, most of you did a great job, like I said, most of you, almost all of you. And, but just remember how to write correctly going to. And I would like to use this one as well, because I took it from this activity, indeed, which is this one right here. It was simple past versus past continuous. It's not easy all the time. So remember, when we are speaking in past, most of the time we use a lot of auxiliary verbs. We don't only use only did or only was and were. We combined, we use them together when we are speaking in past. So, okay, we are going to do some of these ones, okay? So, by the way, I use some of them. I would use this one. He entered the room, unfortunately. Okay, I was watching TV. Okay, we're going to use this one, okay? So we can practice a little bit more in this one. So, okay, Jose, look at it carefully. Look at number 8. So you have the verbs play and insist. So you need to choose if you're going to use play in the past form of did, or if you're going to use play and insist with was or were, depending on the situation of the sentence. So, Jose, what do you think? How would you read that sentence?
The Mario was playing balls when he received news he was insisting on finishing the game.
Okay. Okay, so the admiral, by the way, means el almirante.
Okay.
So the admiral was playing balls when he received news of the invasion. Estaba jugando bolos cuando recibió noticias de la invasión. Okay, so he insisted on finishing the game. Insistió en terminar el juego, ¿no? He insisted on finishing the game. Eso fue lo que hizo después. Lo que estaba haciendo, recuerden, eso es lo que estaba haciendo, estaba jugando bolos. Esa era la acción en progreso, eso estaba haciendo, estaba en progreso de hacer eso. Entonces ya todo lo demás, cuando recibió noticias de la invasión, entonces insistió en terminar el juego. ¿Sale? So he insisted on, by the way, that's the way how you say insisted on finishing. And then you use the verb in the ing form. So for example, Víctor Arevalo, how would you say something like, mi jefe insistió en trabajar más duro?
My boss insists in hard job.
Okay, my boss insisted on working harder.
Working hard.
Okay, and that's okay. We're going to make a pause here. We must know how to pronounce the ed words. So when you're using past simple, most of the time you are going to encounter regular verbs, right? So which is the ed form. And okay, that's a little bit not complex, but we need to pay attention to it. Victor Soto, do you know, can you recognize how to pronounce a word with ed when you see it, sorry? Victor, do you know how to pronounce them?
No, all the time.
Okay, all right. Okay, so for that one, we need to have in mind the following thing. Let me see, it's in this one. This is a great book, by the way. It's well said pronunciation. But okay, whatever. It's where is it? Okay, es página 27. Ahí. No, ¿por qué no escribe? 7, ¿dónde está? Estaba por aquí. Aquí están. Bueno. Okay. Okay. So remember, if you want to pronounce the ed words that you use in simple past, you must get used to use voiceless and voiced sounds. So what does that mean? Voiceless sounds are sounds that does not produce any kind of vibration on the vocal cords. That's why they say they are voiceless. You're not using your voice. Your voice is produced by some vocal cords, right? So the thing is, if you have a P, este es otro grupo, este no cuenta, T o D. But if you have a P or a K or an F or a TH, this symbol is for the TH sound. If you have a TH, you have an S, or you have this phoneme, which is sh. Es el sonido que hacen cuando dicen esto, por ejemplo, ¿no? Esas letras representan este fonema. Sunshine, shine, no sé. Bueno, en español tenemos ese fonema a menos que seas de... ¿Dónde hablan así? Donde las S las dicen con SH. Oye, ese muchacho dicen, ¿no? En verdad,
Chihuahua.
en Chihuahua. Entonces, en español tenemos ¿cómo se llama? Esa versión del español, ¿no? Dicen en Chihuahua, muchacho. Pero normalmente no tenemos este fonema. Y bueno, este fonema, este último es la CH. Eso sí lo tenemos, es la palabra o el sonido que hacemos en chicharrón. Ese es el fonema. ¿Sale? Entonces, estos yo les recomiendo que los anoten. P, K, F, T, H, S, SH y CH. Esos son voiceless. Entonces, so if you have one of these phonemes behind the ED, then that ED is going to sound like a T. So some examples, for example, you have the word drop, right? So you see that word and I bet you that you would like to say drop it. Drop it. But it's not drop it because you have a P. So you remember, so you ripped it off. So lo arrancas. You ripped it off and then you have F. So what do you have before the ED? You have a P sound, which means that this ED is going to sound like a T. And then you're going to say dropped, dropped. Not drop it, but dropped. Or, for example, like this.
Es como hacer énfasis en la última consonante, ¿verdad?
En las últimas dos, ajá, dropped, dropped. Tiene que sonar como si dijeras la P y la T juntas, dropped. Lo mismo aquí nos van a dar ganas de decir walked, pero no es walked porque lo que tenemos aquí, ok, arrancamos, I ripped it off, and then I have a K sound. So, which means that I'm going to say walked. And then I walked for hours. I walked. Or, for example, if you have something like this, right? So we would like to say crash it. Crash it, and I crash it, but it's not crash it because you have this phoneme crash. So that means that ED is going to sound like a T, crashed. Or finally, if you have the word like this one, we would like to say search it, right? But we have a CH, this phoneme, searched. And I searched all over my house. And I searched for it, searched. So remember, if you need to take notes on these ones, right? So I'm going to close the session and open it again. Please don't go away or on this computer. I always forget to record the second part of the class, you know. But yeah, okay. So share. Okay, so those are voiceless sounds, right? So then you have a second group or a second option to pronounce the TD or the ED words. The second option is when you have the second option is when you have TD, right? TD. TD is the second group. So how would you pronounce this one? Itself, how would you pronounce this word?
With.
Okay, how would you pronounce this one?
Want.
Okay. And this one, how would you pronounce this one?
Record.
All right. So if you want to pronounce these ones, so remember, then you rip off the ED, and then if you have a T or a D, then the ED is going to sound. So that's why you would say waited, wanted, recorded, did. Sí va a sonar la det. Es decir, todas las palabras podemos podemos sintetizarlo así. Todo lo que termine en dead o ted, sí suena a eso. Dead y ted. Waited, wanted, recorded. Ahí sí. Siempre que tengas T o D justo detrás de las eres. ¿Sale? Ahora, con eso, in this case, you need to pay attention to what you have before the dead or dead. So remember, like in waited, you have a vowel sound. If you have a vowel sound before the death, then you will have to say this one. Red. Why? Because you have a T and a D. So remember, that law, it's not a law, but that rule is absolute. In the sense that if you have waited, I mean, you can say waited if you want, and it's fine to say waited. There is no problem. But it's more likely that you're going to hear waited. And I waited for hours. I waited for hours. Waited. ¿Por qué? Porque siempre que hay T's que se encuentran en medio de fonemas vocálicos, se convierten en R. And I waited. En este caso no, miren, si yo digo, aquí sí tendrían que decir wanted, nada más, solo tienen esa opción. I wanted. ¿Por qué wanted? Porque detrás de la T no hay un fonema vocálico, sino consonante. Ahí sí se queda el wanted. O aquí también recorded. ¿Sale? Ese es el segundo grupo, las T's y las D's. Entonces, ok. ¿Hasta aquí vamos bien? ¿Hay alguna duda con esto hasta aquí? No.
Nope, it's clear.
All right. Okay. And then we go with the first and final group, which is voiced. So what are voiced consonants? If you have a B or a G or a V, this one doesn't count because this is the same as this one. And, okay, estos son, miren, estos también es TH. Hay dos THs, unas que es voice y otra que es voiceless. Pero normalmente las THs que son voiced van al principio. Por ejemplo, ¿a qué me refiero con voice? Si ustedes dicen them, y luego dicen algo como, no sé, algo que termine con TH. Normalmente las THs, aquí por eso te ponen dos opciones, porque hay las THs que van al principio, a veces son voiceless, voiced, perdón, como aquí en them. Si ustedes dicen, se van a dar cuenta cómo vibra aquí, ¿no? Them. Bueno, uno donde es voiceless sería aquí, fifth. Ahí es voiceless. ¿Se dan cuenta cómo lo dicen them? Ese es them y aquí es fifth. Aquí no produce ninguna vibración. Entonces, por eso aquí los están diciendo, ¿no? Que también es estos. Pero normalmente las palabras que tienen TH al final son voiceless. Esa TH es voiceless. So, don't worry for that one. So, it's only B, G, or B, la Z. And then you have this phoneme right here. This phoneme is whenever the S make like a sh sound. For example, in this one. Cuando las S, cuando una palabra en inglés que tenga S hace el sonido de sh, television, ahí no dicen televisión, ¿no? No es la S realmente, o sea, la letra es la S, pero el fonema es este, que es, y generalmente ese fonema está representado por S que hacen sonido de j, television. ¿Qué otra, por ejemplo? A ver, si ponemos aquí, vamos a ver. Ahí. This phoneme is like, it's right here in the phonemic chart. In this case. So, control C. Vamos para acá y ponemos control B y luego examples. Miren. A ver, ¿dónde estaba? Consonants, free dictionary, American English. I think it's this one perhaps. Fíjense, aquí son 3 ejemplos, ¿no? Measure. Aquí no es mesure o measure, sino measure. So, ¿y qué tenemos ahí? Es una S, ¿ya vieron? Es una S que ya está saliendo un sonido como de sh, measure. Usually. No dirían usually, a pesar de que es una S. O sea, la letra es la S, pero el fonema es este, usually. Vision. Aquí también es una S, pero no decimos vision, sino vision. A conclusion. Entonces, siempre que vean una S que hace un sonido distinto a la S, ese es el fonema de la, que es como una 3, ¿no? Y lo pueden corroborar, o sea, por ejemplo, van aquí a Oxford, este diccionario, y ponen la palabra, aquí, por ejemplo, visión, que no es visión. Los ponen allí, y miren, ya se dieron cuenta que está este es el mismo símbolo. Es el mismo fonema, quiere decir que es vision, shin. Y que, por cierto, de ahí que podemos sacar, hay algunas palabras que terminan en sion, ¿no? Como inversion, vision, cohesion. Todo lo que termine en sion, o sea, que se escriba sion, pues tiene ese fonema. Shin. Conclusion. Communication. También creo que todas las que terminan en tion, si no me equivoco. Por ejemplo, aquí. A ver si estoy en lo correcto o no. Ah, no, ese es otro. Ese es el shin. Ese es otro, no. Tion no. Pero sion sí. Todo lo que termine en sion. Entonces, bueno, si tienen ese fonema, pues también. Y por último, este que es como una D3, es todas las palabras que terminen en G, por ejemplo. Absolutamente todas las palabras, all the words that finish with G and E makes that phoneme, this one right here. So, for example, in the word garage. So you have that that phoneme. So for example, if you go to Oxford, like it's right here, and you put any, like, I don't know, maybe like the word damage, right? Damage. So you have this phoneme, la de tres, damage. Or if you go into put garage, it's the same, right? You have the same phoneme. So this phoneme at the end of the words is represented by the G and the E. So if you have a word that ends with G and E and is in past, like for example, this one, damaged. You have that word, a lot of words end with G, ¿no? Entonces, cuando tengan G, bueno, todos estos fonemas, si tienen esos fonemas, como aquí en damaged, o como en la palabra aquí, en esta, o como en la palabra, no sé, bueno, estas, vamos a decir estas, ¿sale? Entonces, ok, tengo la V es voiced, por lo tanto, esto va a sonar loved, no loved, sino loved. Aquí también tengo, entonces, este fonema está antes de la, bueno, de la ED. This is damaged, es con una D, ¿vale? Entonces, esas son las tres posibilidades que tienen para pronunciarlos, para pronunciar las EDs. Y ahora, por último, ya entonces son esos tres grupos. La última cosa que tienen que tener en cuenta es que independientemente de cuál grupo sea, no importa qué grupo sea, pero, por ejemplo, ven, cuando ustedes tienen palabras con ED y justo lo que sigue, es una palabra que empieza con vocal, como en estos casos, ahí en ese caso van a tener que pegarlo, pues van a tener que hacer connected speech, de modo que, por ejemplo, a ver, teniendo eso en cuenta, José, how would you pronounce the first words?
Drop it out.
Again, please.
Drop it out.
Okay, dropped out.
Dropped out. Okay.
Dropped out. Esta no la cambias por R, no dices drop it out. No es drop it out, sino dropped out. ¿Por qué no la cambias por R? Porque aquí tienes una P. Si aquí tuvieras una vocal, sí podrías cambiarlo. Por ejemplo, aquí, mira, en este caso, si tuvieras esto. Ahí, como, how would you pronounce that one? Itzel. How would you pronounce the first one?
Oh my God. Drop out.
Yeah, but the first one, this one, right here.
Oh my God. Adopt that.
Almost. Victor Soto, how would you pronounce the first one?
Adopted all.
Exactly, adopted at. He was adopted at birth. Fue adoptado al nacer. Entonces, ¿por qué aquí se lo cambio por R? Porque primero, a ver, esto sí suena a ED, ¿no? Adopted, porque tienes una D aquí. Entonces, esta D queda en medio del fonema de la E y de la A. Por eso ahí sí dices adopted at birth. Adopte, la cambias por R, ¿no? O sea, esta D termina siendo R. Esa D termina siendo una R porque se queda en medio. Aquí no. Aquí no, ¿por qué no? Porque esta ED, para empezar, no es ED, sino que es una T, ¿no? Es una T. No puedo cambiarla a R, por ejemplo, porque esa T que es resultante de esta ED no está en medio de fonemas vocálicos. Está en medio de la P y en medio de la O. No queda en medio de dos fonemas vocálicos. Entonces, ahí se tiene que quedar y por eso decimos dropped out. Entonces, okay, how would you pronounce, Isaac, how would you pronounce this one right here?
Yes, teacher. Lover animals?
Love it. No, not exactly. Okay. Victor Arevalo, how would you pronounce this one right here? The last one.
Love animal.
Kind of. What do you have in this one? I mean, what's the sound if you have a B? Si tienes una B antes de la D y la B es voiced, ¿a qué va a sonar esa ED?
Los animales.
Love. No.
No. Okay, Jorge, what did you say?
Love the animals.
Love the animals, exactly. Love the. Love the. Entonces aquí tienes una D. Esta ED es una D nada más. ¿Sale? Y esa D la tengo que pegar con esto, de modo que el sonido que se hace es love the.
Connect the A.
Ajá, love the animals.
Love animals.
Love the animals. Entonces, esa pequeña diferencia es lo que hace que hagan la diferencia entre hablar en presente y hablar español, hablar español, entre presente y hablar en pasado. Porque si ustedes dijeran esto, por ejemplo, ¿no?
Love animals.
Love animals. Love animals and love the animals. Love the animals. Love animals. Ahí la D, el sonido de la D es lo único que diferencia que están hablando en pasado. ¿Sale? Entonces sí tienen que prestar atención a eso, porque si no, no vamos a saber, ¿no? Si están hablando en presente o en pasado. ¿Sale? Ahora, eso solo ocurre, recuerden, cuando aquí hay una vocal. Sin embargo, por ejemplo, si tuvieran algo como esto. Vamos a decir eso, ¿no? Learned. Ok, aquí tengo una N. La N, por cierto, aquí no aparece, pero la N también es voiced. De hecho, a ver, es que aquí no está tan completo. Mira, estas son voiced. La B, esta dijimos que no cuenta. La D es otro grupo. La Z, las S que hacen un sonido distinto a la S. Las J, este problema es el G, que está ahí, ya dijimos, al final normalmente está representado por la G, la R, la L, la W, la H, la NG. Este fonema que es como una N con un palito es la NG. Por ejemplo, ese fonema se encuentra en todas las palabras que tienen ING. Working, living, la N y la M y la R. ¿Sale? Les pongo mira, esto sirve mucho. Les pongo el link de esta página para que ustedes puedan ir corroborando, ¿no? ¿Qué cosa tengo detrás de la ED? Ahora, mi punto es que únicamente cuando hay una vocal es que hacen eso. Por ejemplo, aquí I learned many things, ¿no? Aquí, la verdad es que cuando alguien, que largamos esa ED, si hay una N y la N es voiced, por lo tanto, esta ED de aquí suena como si fuera una D, ¿no es así? D. No es learned, sino learned. I learned. Learned. Pero lo que sigue después de esta D es una consonante. Allí, para que vean, ahí sí no es difícil darse cuenta si están hablando en presente o en pasado. Ahí sí es difícil darse cuenta porque no haces no conectas nada. O sea, ahí dirías, I learned many things. No sé, o sea, es más difícil escuchar la transición. No sé si estoy diciendo esto, por ejemplo, ¿no? O sea, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre decir esto y decir esto? La diferencia es casi imperceptible.
Right.
Es casi imperceptible, pero ¿por qué es imperceptible? Porque hay una consonante aquí. ¿Sale? Donde sí se percibe muy bien es cuando hay vocal. Entonces, aquí ustedes podrán decir esto, I learned many things from my father, por ejemplo, ¿no? I learned many things from my father. Pues tienes que tener un oído muy agudo para escuchar la D. O sea, de todos modos hay que hacerla, ¿no? I learned many things, hay que intentar hacerlo, pero es más difícil. Entonces, por ejemplo, vamos a ver aquí con los últimos, miren, vamos a Youglish. Youglish está divertido para ver esta clase de cosas. Entonces, vamos ahí. Ok. Entonces, por ejemplo, vamos a poner esto. Ahí lo que queremos escuchar entonces es dropped out. I dropped out. No siempre lo van a pegar, pero vamos a ver. Le dan aquí en Say It.
Mind. When I was 19, I dropped out of college.
Ok. ¿Se dan cuenta cómo dijo I dropped out? Dijo dropped out. No dijo drop it out, sino dijo dropped out of college. Y esta R, esa T, por cierto, la convirtió en R, dijo dropped out of college. A ver si lo ponemos, que vaya más despacio.
Mind. When I was 19, I dropped out of college.
Dropped out of college. Out of, fue lo que dijo. Aquí.
At this height, Tyree dropped out of his seat and fell.
¿Se dan cuenta? Dropped out of his seat. O acá.
In prison. But among black men who dropped out of high school, the life.
Ese se escucha muy bien, ¿no? Dropped out of high school. Pero si yo dijera dropped y luego pusiera cualquier otra cosa, vamos a ponerle dropped y vamos a buscar una donde siga una consonante.
Mind. When I.
Ay, no.
Just dropped crime.
O sea, ahí sí se escucha, ¿no? Pero es más difícil escuchar la T. ¿Sí se escucha?
Mind.
Which is dropped crime.
Es más difícil, ¿se dan cuenta? Sí se escucha, pero cuesta más trabajo. Ahí no. Ahí no. No, a ver aquí.
Some people, just a few, dropped coins.
Ahí se dan cuenta que no se nota tanto, ¿no? ¿Por qué no? Porque aquí tienes la K. Drop coins. Ustedes bien podrían decir drop coins. Y no habría tanto problema, ¿no? Así hay que decir dropped con la T. Pero si no lo hacen, no hay tanto asunto. Entonces, el asunto es ver qué hay aquí. Entonces, bueno, como se dan cuenta, esto de pronunciar las EDs sí que tiene su chiste, ¿no? Sí que tiene su chiste. Vamos a hacer algo. Busquen palabras, ¿sale? busquen cualquier palabra que se junte, bueno, una palabra, perdón, un verbo en ed, el que ustedes quieran, y busquen qué tiene después, ¿vale? Busquen al menos 10, vamos a hacer eso. Cada uno de ustedes busque 10 palabras con ed y lo que le siga después, en cualquier lugar, en un texto, en una revista, en una película, en una canción, lo que ustedes quieran, donde sea, ¿sale? Y vamos a ver la siguiente clase cómo lo pronunciamos, ¿vale? Pero bueno, para eso, ¿tienen alguna duda con esto que vimos? Más o menos, algo que no quede muy claro.
No.
¿No?
Sorry.
Ok, vale. Ujú. Bueno, entonces, les paso esto, ¿sale? Bueno, de todos modos, recuerden que tienen que estar haciendo recreo. So sometimes a student told me the other day, what is the fastest way of learning a language? Study. That is the fastest way of learning, you know? So you have a lot of marketing things like, okay, so the fastest way of learning is with our method, and we have the best method. But, you know, in reality, the only way to learn a language is to study every day. Study. Pay attention to those things. Do your homework. Practice grammar. Remember, practice grammar all the time. Not only in the class. Remember, if you only practice in this class, okay, I mean, you're going to learn something, but it's going to be slow. If you want to go faster in your learning, you need to be able to study outside the classroom. I mean, and sometimes people tell me like, I don't have time. I'm a busy man. I'm a busy woman. Yeah, but you can use music, for example. You don't have to have a notebook and sit down and write something. Sometimes you can use music, by the way. If you start noticing those things, so whenever you listen to music, you can start noticing. Hagan eso, eso es un muy buen ejercicio. Si quieren estudiar fuera del salón y no tienen tiempo, porque bueno, son personas ocupadas, ¿no? Y eso es entendible y es normal. Elijan 5 canciones por semana, eso es lo que yo hacía. Y lo que hago, elijo 5 canciones por semana y yo voy buscando lo que quiero aprender. Ok, aquí hay una T y una D que se encuentran en medio de vocales. Aquí hay una ED que lo que sigue es una vocal. Entonces yo ahí necesito oír esto, ¿no? Y escuchan esa canción o esas canciones. Y se van a dar cuenta que no hay necesidad de que se sienten a estudiar como tal. Cuando escuchen, ok, sí es cierto, ahí lo pegó, ¿no? Y lo pueden ir cantando también. I dropped out of college when I was younger and bla, bla, bla. Ya van cantando ustedes la canción. Y no tienen necesidad de sentarse a escribir como tal. ¿Sale? Entonces hay maneras de irlo practicando sin necesidad de sentarse a estudiar como tal. Entonces, bueno. So remember, 10 phrases using ed verbs. Okay? And we see what happens. So, yep. So guys, I see you on what? On Tuesday, right? I see you on Tuesday. So if you don't have any questions, we can finish the class here. So see you on Tuesday. Take care. Bye.
Bye, teacher.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.